This call is being recorded.
Welcome to A Winning Cup, you guys. Today with me, I have Sharyn and Hank, and I'm going to let these guys take it away and start sharing their story, and then we'll just have a natural conversation like we always do.
Well, that's fabulous. Do you want to do our introduction? We are small business coaches. In 2017, we were voted America's #1 small business coach for small businesses because we stress building small business owners and helping them build their business. We help them create their life with their business serving their life instead of their life being built around their business.
Yeah.
We used to live in Los Angeles, decided that the only thing we really liked about Los Angeles were our Dodgers season tickets, and that wasn't the reason to stay there. And we had visited Sedona, Arizona several times, and we thought, we teach our clients, make your business serve your life. So we packed up our small business coaching program and we moved to Sedona, Arizona, where we've got red rock views from every window, and we get to not enjoy traffic.
Yeah. Well, guess what? I just transplanted myself with help from Askwin, Colorado to Phoenix, Arizona, of all places.
Neighbors!
Yay! So yay, I'm semi next door neighbors.
We were amazed at the traffic in Phoenix.
Yes. For those of you that don't know, geographically, Phoenix is 2 hours away from Sedona. So for those of you who are thinking, Win and Hank and Sharyn are absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Why would all three of us move to the similar geographically here? No, Phoenix and Sedona are very, very beautiful.
You are just 2 hours south of us, so just down the road a piece.
Yeah, down the road, you guys. But Phoenix and Sedona are very, very, very beautiful, and I love it. And to get off my sidetracks there, this is why I transferred. I became a full-time podcaster, and this is why I became a solo entrepreneur. This is why, because when I was given the opportunity, when push came to shove, I needed to get to low altitude for my health. I have cerebral palsy, and I was also diagnosed with sleep apnea and asthma and all that good stuff. But with a job, and it's so funny because someone asked me today, well, if you had a place to retire, where would it be? And another person overheard our conversation. I am, for those of you that don't know, I am in the first of its kind in the country, a pocket community built for people with neurological and physical disabilities. Quite frankly, it's more neurological disabilities than physical disabilities. I'm the only one in here with cerebral palsy, but that's another long story why. And so when push came to shove, and I saw the writing on the walls in Aspen, Colorado, I was given the opportunity back in January to transplant myself to Phoenix. I said, what the heck? Let's do it. And I would take my podcast with me and tell my fan base that I was moving. And I love it because I said to someone today, this is my retirement from teaching, my retirement from Aspen is this. And so during the pandemic, I think a lot of people were reassessing their lives. And so I think a lot of people and a lot of companies were saying, well, like the Googles and Twitters were saying, well, we don't need that big office space because our
Absolutely.
employees are getting more and more productive at home.
Did you notice, because we've noticed this with Sedona, our population is about 10,000. I think Aspen is somewhere in the same numbers. Medical care in Sedona is not what we were used to in Los Angeles, as far
I
as the ease of services. And Phoenix being city number 5 in the country is probably better.
Yes, I am noticing that. I am noticing that coming from lack of medical care to the one of the biggest medical facilities, aka the Mayo Clinic,
Yeah.
in the country, right outside my back door. Yeah. So yes, I am noticing that. But there's drawbacks, but we still get the beauty of Phoenix and we still get the beauty of Sedona.
Yeah, but we do know that there are some things as we get older, we know there are some things that there's a trip to Phoenix in our future,
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's just in the Verde Valley the services aren't again what we were used to in Los Angeles.
But we get the beauty of
Yeah,
there's drawbacks to the
Red
beauty
Rock, it's worth it.
but it's worth it. It's worth it. So that being said, if people are now getting jealous, fear of missing out, FOMO by our conversation, which I'm sure they are getting, and yes, you're welcome to come down to see me anytime, you guys. You just have to let me know. And so what's happening right now is so many people are reassessing their lives and so many people thinking, man, I want to live the life that Sharyn and Hank and Win are living now. And how do I do that? So what would be your best advice for people that want to retire? And I'm saying this in air quotes, even though Hank and Sharyn can see me on camera, you guys can't. But what would be your best advice for making that leap with your boss and saying, I'm done clocking in, I'm done reporting to someone else?
Create a plan. It really starts with a plan. People tell us, you're so lucky that you get to live in Sedona. And we remind them we are blessed, absolutely, but we are not lucky. We had a plan and a strategy and we executed that plan.
And going back to November of 2019, we were speaking to a chamber of commerce about 40 or 50 small business owners about social media. We were doing a presentation. And afterwards, one of the members said, "Can I talk to you guys a little?" And her comment was exactly to your question. She had worked for another company for 30 years. It was a print shop. And every client thought she owned it, but she didn't. It was an absentee owner. And she thought, I want to know how to go out on my own. So we chatted there for about a half hour and we had a few other conversations. And in January of 2020, perfect timing, she opened her own print shop. But because she had her plan, because we had put it all together, she was profitable last year. And you have to know what are your plan to acquire customers. You've got to have your team, and in that you need to have a really good accountant. You need to look at what are you going to do online, what are you going to do offline, and there's all sorts of moving pieces that you have to account for.
Know your numbers, right? So Hank said, right, know how you're going to acquire customers, but how many customers do you need in order to cover your nut, whatever your nut is? If you're planning on making that switch, how many customers do you need it in, and how are you measuring that? Is it a day? Is it a week, a month, a year, right? And then narrow it down.
And we do notice that a lot of small business owners when we say, okay, what are you going to charge for that? Here's a hint. Almost all of them are undercharging for what they're worth.
Yes.
They figure if I can just get started.
Yeah. No. And I was going to say, you cannot leave your loyal fans in the dark about what you're going to do. I said to my fan base, and this was back in Askwin, Colorado, I said, look, I told them about one move, and then I said, there's been a plot twist in my move, but and my move landed up in Phoenix, Arizona. But I said, look, this is what I'm doing. This is how it's going to work. I didn't turn off the lights figuratively of my podcast, and I gave them pretty much all the information I had. I spilled my guts on this podcast because I'm like, okay, this is what I'm planning to do, and this is how I'm planning to do it. And so you guys are welcome to subscribe and keep up with me or not. But you can't leave your natural fan base in a dark. You can't. People say through your network, it's going to start out with old colleagues who may have a bright idea for you, and then bring in the new colleagues and bring in the apps called Clubhouse or apps called Zoom, or the list goes on. And it's like, use your old colleagues to help you, and then bring in the new people. But you can't leave your original fan base in the dark, or you can't leave because with my disability, people really get concerned about me and my physical health.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we knew when we left Los Angeles that we were going to have to make a lot of trips back. And it turned out we were going back virtually every month because we have...
Well, literally every month.
Yeah, literally every month.
Until it was virtual. But
because we have clients there. And we had built our business for us to have to be there. And you really do not have to, depending on what you're doing, if you're a service business, and even a product business, depending on the product, you don't have to be physically anywhere that's near. But we have found that none of our clients cared where we were. We could pick up the phone, answer an email, and now all of the teleconferencing platforms make it easy. So I think that
2020.
if there's any, our motto in 2020 was get used to being uncomfortable.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
And the other half of that is now it's, if it doesn't bring us joy, we don't do it.
No, exactly. If it doesn't bring us joy, we don't do it. So it's like, does it really bring you joy? No. To be quite honest with you, being in Aspen, Colorado didn't bring me joy. Being in Phoenix, Arizona, where it's nice and warm, brings me joy every single day.
Warm?
Excellent.
Wait a minute. Have you been there during the summer? Warm? It's 100 degrees for 100 days. Come on.
I've been told. I said I emphasize the warm that you guys with the there.
What month did you move?
Just
moved?
In March. I moved.
Yeah.
Enjoy it now because it's about
Yeah.
to be smoky.
Yeah.
I've been told that. I've been told, yeah, you may want to go hide back in the AC and turn the AC up as
Yep.
high as you can. Oh, I've been told. I've been warned. No, I've been warned.
Heed thine warnings.
Heed
They
thy
bring truth.
warnings. Yeah, heed thy warnings. Yeah, no, it's better for my health. Number one, and if you have a health crisis, you guys, all kidding aside, you kind of need to figure out, okay, how am I going to move my family and move my business to, because without you, without solo entrepreneurship, without you, your business is not going to run. And so if you are in a house crisis like I am, it's easier to move you than have you laying in a hospital bed, and I hate to be morbid, but laying in a hospital bed with, let's just say, COVID. It's easier to move you while you still are healthy, and I'll just leave it that.
Yes,
True.
agreed.
It's because without, you can have teams all day long helping you, and because I have teams all day long helping me, but without you as steering captain of ship, things are not going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely agreed.
So yeah. So I have a question for you guys. What was the biggest lesson you learned during lockdown?
We don't have to be there.
Yeah. This virtual thing actually works.
We in 2018, 2019, we were toying with the idea of doing these webinar things, and that would evergreen webinars that would be live, and people could find the webinar by typing in the keywords for whatever the topic was, and we would do some training on a lot of different marketing topics. And then they might raise their hand and say, Sharyn, Hank, I'd like to get some business coaching. Can we talk about it? That was the plan. And in 2019, we never got around to finishing the script and getting it shot. Then COVID hit, and
welcome to 2020.
Yeah, we were no longer physically going around the country, standing on stages speaking. Instead, we were stuck. If you could see us now, stuck. We have a studio built off of our house. It's about a 10 by 10 room. It's a podcasting room. We have sound baffling all around it. We have several different lights, and it's a studio. And starting in March of 2020, we ended up doing over 100 webinars last year. We jumped into it and said, all right,
here we go.
Let's
Here we go.
Hold on tight.
Hold on tight. Welcome
now
to my own mind.
We on our website, what's the website? yourmarketingadvisor.com. We're going to continue to do monthly webinars. We're going to do a dozen or so a month, because we can talk to a lot of people without having to get on planes or driving, and we get to stay where we very much enjoy it in Sedona. So people go to yourmarketingadvisor.com, they see which webinar they want to go to and dial in, and we do them live. What's really fun is that we have gotten to a point where we are so comfortable doing a webinar. I have walked in and sat down in the studio, because you can see us in our studio. We're next to each other. I said, okay, which webinar is it today? It's like, whereas at first, plan it, practice it, go through it, and now it's part of our regular routine. Enjoy the day, do a webinar.
I'm lucky enough that humans actually want to have lunch with me where I am. So I was having lunch, and of course my phone goes off, and I'm like, oh, excuse me, I have to go give a podcast, and they're like,
Oh dear.
oh, whoops. And so I race back up there. But it's so funny that you can do webinars or you can do a podcast even with a good internet connection. All you need nowadays, guys, is a good internet connection and your team behind you, and then you're good to go.
Yeah. We were we were doing a podcast, and now we do a video cast. It's called theviewcast.com. And a couple of times when we were just doing the audio podcast, we were stuck. We did one from the airport in Nashville, which I don't recommend.
It was really loud.
The connectivity is great, but you're sharing your microphone with every flight taking
PA
off.
announcements.
So we've
Yeah.
but the technology has allowed us to do them in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
We were in Sharyn's mom's basement in Washington, D.C. We were visiting, but well, it was Tuesday afternoon, time to do the podcast. Excuse us for a little while.
Yeah. Excuse us.
So technology is a tremendous assistance.
Technology is a tremendous assistant. And yes, I see you have kitty cats. Yes, kitty cat kids have podcast. And I'll just carry on because it's life. It's life now. And I think
we have to leave the door open to our studio, because we did find out that even with all of the sound baffling that we have in this room, if the door is closed and one of the cats is on the other side of the door, their meow can go right through the door into the microphone. And on several of our podcasts, you can hear all of a sudden there's a meow. It's like, oh well, gotta roll with it. Sorry, folks. Yeah, hope you're not allergic to cats, because that was
yeah, well, that's life. And so that's life. Now, if you guys had to shadow a person for, let's say, a week, who would it be and why? Sharyn, why don't you go first?
Who would I shadow for a week?
See, I already know. I already have my answer to this.
Okay, well then you go first, and I'll think about
it. This was a really good question again, and I was trying to think of, who. I wanted to think of somebody that you've never had mentioned before. So here it is. I want to shadow the astronaut that's going to be the first person to step foot on Mars.
The astronaut that's going to be the first person to step foot on Mars, and why would you like to do that, Hank?
Mankind is about to take that step.
Yes.
We took the step when we reached our own moon, but interplanetary, and the risk goes way up. So there's why are you doing this? There was the element, the old, why do you climb that mountain? Because it's there, but there's a good chance that they don't get to come back. In fact, there is probably a child born now that might be on the first mission that humans take, where they're going so far out, they're not coming back. Their life is going to be on that. And I think I want to get into that mindset. Why do you want to be the first one up? What do you hope to see? What is the challenge that's really driving you? I'm a motivated individual, but that's a whole other level of motivation that I want to learn and experience. So those are some brave and brilliant people that are taking that step.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. And to swing it back to Mars and NASA, I don't know if you guys know this well, because those of you who follow politics know that one of our Arizona state representatives,
yes,
Kelly, uh,
Yes.
is running for state representative of our state. And someone in one of the papers I was filling out, they asked me, "Do you want to register to vote?" And I said, "I'll register to vote when I get residency." I haven't reached my time, you guys, but but I found it interesting why I was so gun ho to register to vote. Well, hello, Gabrielle Giffords
Yeah.
is a disabled woman who got wrong place, wrong time.
Yes.
And so, yeah, for those of you who've been watching, Mark Kelly knows this stuff day in, day out.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
no wonder why Sedona and Phoenix are so disabled friendly, even though Sedona has its little quirks, just like Aspen, Colorado did. But
Yeah.
no wonder why we're living in a state that has so many amenities for the older folks and the disabled folks, because I think secretly, I know this, that Mark Kelly kind of pushed and pushed and pushed because he lives it day in, day out.
Absolutely.
We got a chance to meet Senator Kelly a couple times while he was running. Brilliant man, just and a
appears to have a
huge
good heart.
yeah, huge. I was going to say that huge heart
Yeah.
for public service. So it was exciting to see him as a representative for our state.
Yeah, and it is, and I hope he does a really good job. I hope
Yeah.
he does a really good job, and I am hoping that if he runs again, I'll put my vote in as a new, as a, I almost said Colorado. No, you just say Arizona now, people, because I'm stuck here.
You know, I'll tell you,
I love it.
when we first moved here, I won't get too political. I was honored to be able to vote for Senator McCain his last election.
Yes.
He, again, another person who put country above self.
Yeah.
And was quite the leader. So Arizona has had a lot of has spawned a lot of really great leaders.
Yes, they have.
I don't think they're all that great, but we won't get into the politics of it.
We won't get into politics. Now each state has some good leaders. They have interesting leaders. And considering, and we won't get into politics, considering what we all just came out of, to get the United States back on track. Oh, it's going to take a little bit of work. And
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we won't. Let's not get into the politics of it, because that would extend.
Exactly. It's not going to be good. Now,
let's talk business.
But let's talk business. And what's your favorite thing about doing what you do now?
The actual client interaction. So whenever we have an actual call with a client, that's always the best part of our day. We always start with, how can we best help you today? That's really what we're here to do, to be of service, help them grow their business, help them realize their dream. And when we get to do that, that's the best.
Yeah, it's the light bulb moments. When a client says, "I can do that," well, yeah, you can. Here's how. And we lay it out in 3 steps or so. And it's like, oh my goodness, that's great. So yeah, that's the absolute best part.
Yeah.
And what is the worst part about doing all this?
I think we probably have different.
Probably.
Why don't you go first?
My least favorite part is the client acquisition part.
Yeah.
All of those things that go into acquiring the new client. I love the service part. The acquisition, not my favorite part.
And it's interesting. If you see us we do a Monday afternoon mastermind call for all our clients.
Yeah.
Everyone's on. And in those, Sharyn definitely takes the lead. she's running the call. And when we are if we're on stage, if we're doing a teaching moment, client acquisition, an organization has us come in and speak, I tend to do the most of that part of it because that's more fun. So we have learned that we each have strengths, and we are very comfortable allowing the other one to play to their strength.
Yes.
And it's always the best part of what we do. Now, if there's a part I don't like, let's see. I hate it when I have to say, "Hey, Sharyn, what's the login here?"
Oh yes.
I'm sorry. That is the absolute worst part. It's like, oh man, I need to get into that social media platform. What's the password?
Boy, we have all these two. I thought you were going to say finances. Geez, I thought you were going to say the icky F word, not the other F word, but the icky F word as a solo entrepreneur. I gave that up. I'm like, I turned it over to someone else.
We learned a long time ago, don't do the parts that you're not an expert on. So we have an accountant that's really good. We have a really good financial planner. We very much believe in passing off the stuff that we're not good at.
Yes. And I was going to say, don't pick the stuff you're not good at. If you're good at communications, hire or train someone that you trust to do your scheduling. Like in my shoes, I started this little project called Askwin at the time. Now it's a winning cup. And I asked my BFF over 10 years ago now, hey, I'm going to start a project. Would you like to help me? And of course, she said yes, because she's my best friend. But I said, well, what do you want to do in this project? She didn't even know what I was doing until I explained it to her. She didn't even know it was a podcast. And I said, well, would you like to do it with me and be center stage? Or would you like to be a little bit more behind the scenes? And she goes, I would prefer to be a little bit more behind the scenes just because of my speech impediment due to cerebral palsy. She also has cerebral palsy. And so I said, sure, you can, because I knew day one that if I didn't hire a scheduling assistant and a assistant in general, I would go nuts. So because scheduling and paperwork are not my strong point. People have seen it. People know that, who know me truly well. Paperwork is not my strong point. So I train my assistant on how to get in the system and upload the podcast and schedule you guys. And so ever since then, we've been doing that as a team. And it's worked out famously. So all I have to do is step in and record. That's all I have to do.
That's awesome.
And and I have a million other assistants in my life that help me with other things because I have cerebral palsy, and I admit that I need help. I need help physically and sometimes mentally to figure it out. But if you have the luxury of having someone that can play off your strong points and pick up the ball and run with your weak points, it's going to be teamwork makes the dream work, as they say. But you're trying to do it all yourself, you're going to go nuts.
Yes.
Yeah, we're at a point with one of our clients where we're starting to have the virtual assistant conversation. What can the VA do for her?
Yeah.
And there's another one that is probably in that situation, but really needs an online business manager, which is a step up.
Yeah.
And there's more contact there. For Sharyn and I, Sharyn is by far the bigger paperwork person. She lives for paperwork, or having organized paperwork, which I am grateful for, because I am not.
Yeah, no. And so for those of you that can get the luxury of a assistant, even if it's another person that lives with you, quite frankly, you can drag your best friend in, or you can drag your wife in, or you can drag your partner in to your business, because I have been in a situation where, let's just say, I have a family member who is in corporate. And my dad was a solo entrepreneur. Well, when this family member came home at night and started talking about it today, my dad would just look at her like a deer in the headlights. And at the one moment in time, I think she said this to me. No, she said this to me. My stepmom said this to me after my dad died, or maybe when she was having a really bad day. She goes, he doesn't get my job. I said, I do, because I was in it before. I was in a job before I became a solo entrepreneur full time, and I get the stresses, and I get the stresses of talking into a boss. And she goes, thank you very much for understanding. And just so, even if you can drag someone to be your better half, that in your business, that is the best thing. But a lot of people don't get what I do. And a lot of people don't get what solo entrepreneurship does in general. And so we as solo entrepreneurs need to break the stigma and look at those people straight in the eyes, and I hate to be blunt, and say, if you don't want to support us, you can go fly a kite. And I'll leave it at that. No. And I've had people, because I'm such a loudmouth, and people know it, that I've had people unsubscribe from my work. And I am perfectly happy with that, because it's just not their speed.
Yeah. There are always going to be doubters, and that's okay. Let them doubt. You can't let that get into your head.
No.
We don't allow people to live rent free between our ears. It's just not happening. Now, we're lucky. Sharyn and I are a team in our business and in our life. We are partners in everything. And in fact, that's our next book, is called Partners in Everything.
Yeah.
And so we have that constant, we both get it.
Yeah.
In our world. There isn't a.
But it wasn't always that way. When I had a job, I didn't always get it. It took a bit of a mind shift once I joined.
Yep.
That was over a decade ago.
Yeah, that was quick. That was, and it's hard to even think of a time when we really weren't in the same business, because it's been so good. It's made our life so much better now that we work together and run the company together and do everything together. It's
and I also think that lockdown, as hard as it was on people, it taught people about that as a person, truly, because it taught me more about my stepmom and more about my aides, quite frankly, than I ever know, because I saw my stepmom on a daily basis, my aides on a daily basis, and that was it. That was my part, you guys.
Yeah.
For for the whole of 2000 and 2020. Now in 2019, I was still going out and about, but the week before the official lockdown, I put myself in self-quarantine. And so my personal lockdown started the week before the official lockdown. Then I came out to go get, after a year later, I came out to go get a COVID shot. And then because I was moving, I put myself in lockdown again just because I was moving from a completely different state. And now I am slowly going out in Arizona, and no, we don't have a mask mandate in Arizona.
Yeah.
No, and that's a little scary.
Yes.
Very scary.
Very scary. These guys, no, but no, we don't have a mask mandate. So yes, I'm still wearing the mask even though I'm fully vaccinated. I still have the colonial mindset, even though we don't have a mask mandate. Governor did that down here in Phoenix too. And so even though we don't have the restrictions that some states have, I'm still coming from the mindset of, okay, I came from a state where it's mandatory, it's law. But I think a lot of the time in COVID, a lot of people learned about their loved ones and spent more time with their kids than they would like to count.
We seemed to be okay with it. It was,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
You
but
know,
look, remember, we moved to Sedona to make our business serve our life.
Yeah.
The house we found, it does exactly that. So if we were going to be quarantined in Sedona, not a bad thing.
It's a great place to be.
Yeah.
It serves our life. Now, what was for us, we do a thing called the Small Business Breakthrough Bootcamp. And up until COVID time, we would do them twice a year. And we would go in one weekend, it would be Los Angeles, the next weekend, Phoenix, then the next weekend, Sedona. And in March of last year, we finished the Los Angeles one. We went to Phoenix and there was a lower attendance and we really expected it. And we were supposed to do the next one in Sedona and it just,
Nope.
we had to cancel it.
Lockdown.
We just didn't feel right.
No.
Putting 50, 60 people into a ballroom to teach them about marketing. And we're still not sure that we're going to go back to it. We're doing one in June and it's all virtual.
We did them in March, this past March, and they were all virtual.
And it again, it sort of fits. We kind of like it. And we're going to have to make a decision at some point. Even when all of this is over, do we go back to a live event? And we're not sure yet. We rather like doing them virtually.
Definitely.
So we just send people to planyourmarketing.com and they can choose a date and they show up on Zoom and it works really well for all of us.
And it's so funny, you guys, because I am now speaking to all depending who listens to this podcast, I am now speaking to an audience of over 1,000 people, and my audience knows my work. But when you say a live event, you might be speaking to, I would say, about a good, if you're lucky, a good 100 people, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so virtually has its benefits too. Also, in person has its benefits too. But virtually people can catch it anytime, day or night. They can listen to it as they're driving, or listen to it on a walk, or listen to it while they're doing the dishes, or just listen to it in general instead of paying the hotel fee hopping on the plane,
Yeah.
Yes.
doing all that.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
you
all of
like
the equipment that goes with it.
all of the equipment that goes with it. I'm like, the last time I hopped on a plane was the week before the shutdown, and that was my last in-person event. Fortunately, they're doing this event in person again,
Yeah.
this podcasting conference, but I can't do it this year because I just did a big giant move. And so I decided, let me take a year off to get myself organized, and then we'll do the big giant hopping on a plane and wearing masks and doing all that next year. But I'm going to let in-person stuff go this year because it's easier.
Well,
Yeah.
we had conversations with legal counsel and with insurance counsel, and we said, okay, so if, let's say, instead of 100 people that would normally be at our small business breakthrough bootcamp, what if we limited it to 50 and we spread them out farther away than the CDC says, 10 foot spreading. And we gave each person a mask in the morning, and we gave them another one after lunch, and we gave them all their own individual hand sanitizer. We are trying to see what if. And our lawyer said, and if anyone gets sick, whether it's at your event or just after, they're going to have a conversation with someone like me. And I am going to ask them tell me everywhere you've been. And they're going to say, well, I listened to Yuloff Creative do a 3-day small business breakthrough bootcamp. And they're going to say, oh, really?
Yeah,
And you're going to get sued.
yeah,
And they're going to say, you tried to mitigate it. You knew there was a problem.
yeah.
So, and our insurance agent piped in and said, and the insurance company won't cover it because they're going to say act of God. So until Dr. Fauci says, gives his
It's
blessing,
safe.
and
It's
we're
safe.
not doing a
We're
live
not-
event.
We're not doing a live event.
No.
And now, Mike, I've also spoken to legal counsel on this move. And before I came down, legal counsel actually said, when are you going to have to get a COVID shot, whether you like it or not? And because legal counsel, who also is a very good friend, said, well, if you make this move without keeping yourself safe and you land up in the hospital, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
We're going to have a problem. No. And I'm like, because I never thought about it that way. I'm like, a move is a move. I was going to do it anyway. I was so dang determined to do this move. I'm like, but a good friend of mine said, look, we have a little bit of a problem because if you want to do this move, which I support, you're going to have to follow my directions just a little bit. And until Dr. Fauci says it's okay, I'm not too keen on going to places without a mask.
Right.
We have to protect our businesses.
Yeah.
And ourselves.
And we're forgetting all of the rest of it. If someone got sick because they were at one of our events, how would we feel?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh. So we're not ready for that yet, which is why, again, planyourmarketing.com is all virtual. and we show up here in our little void, and we speak to them with our we have our black backdrop and our microphones, and that's kind of it. And the content is almost the same. It changes a little bit. We have to switch it around because if you're live and someone raises their hand, you can stop and ask a question real easily and everybody hears it. So we've had to break it up into sections where we say, look, we'll have a question and answer section every few slides. So there is some pivoting, but at least everybody's safe and everybody's learning.
Yes.
And that's really what we want to happen.
Yes, exactly. We don't want any small business owners to land up in a
Absolutely.
hospital. We're not doing any X, Y, and Z.
Because then your business is not serving your life.
No,
And that's what we want. We
not
want your
serving
business
your
to
life.
serve you.
Just it's not serving your life. It's just being there for you, and you're not making yourself happy. Now, as we wrap this interview up, do you guys have any questions for me?
So I read those that prompt in the lovely emails that your assistant sends us. So the question that came for me is, what question do you wish people would ask you and they've never asked you?
Well, I thought I didn't really how if see
Ooh, you stumped her. Way to go, babe. You stumped her.
Yeah, you stumped me.
Yes, high five. Yay.
High five. High five. No, the question I really want people to ask me is what, because they keep asking me how did you get cerebral palsy, and how did you do all this with cerebral palsy, and they never really ask me what is the biggest challenge of having cerebral palsy.
What's the biggest challenge having cerebral palsy?
The biggest challenge right now is, and this is gonna make me cry, is having no family support I have my chosen family, but having no biological family with this move, because I lost both my parents, one in 2010 and one in 2019. And so during this move, even though I have dear friends and my chosen family, I just feel like during this move, it's going to be interesting as to say that it's going to be interesting because a lot of these families in my community where I am, they have their kids. And so I see mom and dad walking around this community, and it makes me want to cry because I have no biological family to support me in this move.
I understand. My parents have both been gone for a bit now, and I still, on a constant basis, wish I could reach out and talk to mom,
Yeah.
or have a conversation with dad. And it's, dad's been 7 years now, and mom longer than that, but that just hasn't gone away. And I don't know that it ever will, because I was fortunate enough that I had incredible role models as parents.
Yes, you did.
They were high school sweethearts. They were married over 50 years. They were together forever. I was modeled the exact kind of behavior. And, my mom met Sharyn, and within a very short period of time was calling her the daughter she never had. And I have a sister. So I completely understand. It's just gut wrenching when you want to reach out.
Which is why I'm braving getting on a plane next week to go see my mom, because God forbid I don't. And, so I'm taking the shot, even though I woke up with a panic attack in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Oh my God, getting on a plane with a mask.
Getting on a plane with mask. Yeah. And people, I have people in high places, and it's like I was so afraid to just drive 10 hours to a new state, you guys. It took me 12 hours to get there, but that was in a vehicle. And it's like if I flew down, I was given the option to fly down, but that didn't work. But I'm like, okay, what do I do if I am in a mask and I have to go to the bathroom? I'm like, we have to get all the feels, but at the same time, it's still scary.
A healthy amount of concern is good to have.
Yes. Yes.
And it's okay to have it. It's human nature. Having concern for one's safety is normal. It's okay. So, but you made it.
Yeah, we made it. We made it. And so, where can my listeners find you if they want to find you?
If they want to continue our conversation, we love chatting with small business owners. And if they go if a small business owner wants to get there faster, then they should go to howtogettherefaster.com, and they can book a half hour of time with us to talk about their business. And if they just want to read our blog, they can just go to yuloffcreative.com. It's YULOFF creative.com. So either of those, if they want to get information or if they want to chat with us for a half hour, then howtogettherefaster.com.
Well, thanks, Sharyn. Thank you, Hank. And I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of insight into my life now, because
Absolutely. We thank you for that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate this, you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed a fabulous episode. Thanks, you guys. Bye, you guys.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.